Okay, good morning, good morning, good morning. Had a pretty good day yesterday. Up about 7,000 from a few trades. Right here we took one on Toyo Van. Right here for the break of the high of the day. Quick continuation of the momentum. Pushed all the way up, so we caught the profit in the middle. Might have sold a bit soon, but that's okay. And a few dips as well. Caught one on K Power right here. This is one of the dips that we managed to catch. Not bad, not bad. So today, hopefully we can see the same amount of momentum coming in. Am I looking at any specific stocks in particular? So CMAO started dipping yesterday. I saw this happen, but since it was approaching the end of the day, I decided not to jump in because this is way too. I mean, buying after 4:40 towards the end of the day, 4:45 end of the day, is way too risky. See, there's no chance for it to rebound. Nobody dares to buy around this hour, so maybe we can see some sort of rebound this morning or continue to dip. Who knows? Other than that, Supermax started to sell off as well, pretty hard yesterday, down 5%. So this will be on a watch list. Toyo Van, still relatively bullish, still quite extended upwards. So possible for it to continue as well. So I think I'll be most likely just watching Toyo Van for the morning and see where we go from there. K Power. We might have a quiet start this morning because the market is going to be waiting for Bank Nagara's announcement this evening. So most investors slash traders will probably be quite conservative until then. So on the news, Hata Lega is rumored to see a 600% surge in their earnings. So looks like they're gonna gap up. Maybe I'll put it on the side as well. Put Hata Lega on the side. Anything interesting on the screener? Not much on the screener. I had a look at it. Most of them just gapped up and just stayed quiet for the rest of the day. 20 seconds, 2 seconds, I mean. Yeah, Hata gapped up quite a bit. 20 cents, 25 cents gap on Hata Lega. But for stocks like these, we already know how they work. For one glove stock to run, all of the glove stocks have to run together. So let's just give the stocks a few minutes. Seems like a very, very, very quiet start. Toyovan has no moves at all. Simao as well. None of them. Nobody's moving. Well, it's very, very, very quiet. But that's fine. That's fine. If it's quiet, we just stay on the sidelines. Don't force any trades. So let's see if K Power can dip down. 265, 266. Looks like struggling a bit. Both of these stocks. Everything is just quiet. So be patient. This guy is popping off. TN Logistics. How far is it from the highs? Very far. Very, very, very far. Good move in the morning though. So maybe we can see. Maybe we can look for a breakout or some sort of continuation later. Okay, first pullback coming up on TN Logistics. That's what we want to see. First pullback. Pull back down. Maybe find a continuation. Let's draw a few potential resistance zones. Okay, looks like up here, 95 cents. First resistance to meet. Possibly 91.5 as well. We are at 91.5. So 95 cents will be the first resistance that we're going to hit. First break will be 92.5. So quite a small margin. Quite a small upside. Ooh, Toyo Van. Nice dip coming up. Maybe we can try to catch something here. Where could we find a bounce? Maybe around 345. Looks like it's kind of rebounding already. But I want to wait for the break of 355 at least. 350, 345. Looks like we might not be able to get it. Yeah, looks like there's some sort of support building already in the orders. 362. Yep, small rebound here. But there's still a chance that it drops below 360. No, most likely not anymore. That's okay. The dip was a bit too small. for me to try and get some action. Even if I entered about 360, I'll probably only catch like, I mean, that could have been a decent trade actually. Now that I look at it, these candles are quite big. Yeah, this could have been, there could have been a small entry here at 360. But I was waiting for it to reach my support level around here. The previous bounce, 345, 346. It's okay, we'll just wait for it to hit my alert. And we'll see where it goes from there. Euro is just dead quiet, man. Very, very, very quiet start to the morning. Again, probably due to Bank Negara's pending announcement today. Oh, it's about OPR. I see. So today, pending news on the overnight rate. So the interest rate basically. Yeah, and it's supposed to be due today. It's supposed to be released today. Toyota not really giving much bounce, so I won't be surprised if it starts to crash. To continue crashing right here. Crash through 355, 345, all the way down. Maybe bounce around 335, 340 area. If not, it's gonna free fall all the way to 3 already. So we'll see. We have our alert set down here, 355, in case it breaks its low of the day. Then we will start looking at it. Let the alerts do the work for you. Don't need to keep staring at it. CMO. Probably the largest gainer of the day so far, but just no volume at all. TN Logistics, Samaiden, PPHB, JF Tech with the split today. Looks like stock split. Yep. See how it's working. So probably a 1 to 5 split, I guess. So it closed at about 670, 680. Opened around 170. So yeah, 1 to 4. Looks like a 1 to 4 split. Could see some volume though, since it's cheaper now. Usually when it's cheaper, people are more willing to buy. Because I mean it's cheaper, it's easier for them to pick up. So for those with smaller capital, now JF Tech is suddenly easier to play. Suddenly you can afford to buy 100 lots on it. Okay, all of the small stocks suddenly pushing up. K-Power, CMAO pushing up, Toyo Van rebounding. Let's see if JF Tech can pick up any volume. And maybe give us a short burst up through 175, which is its first major resistance that we can see. Maybe a short burst up to 179, 180. Ideally 185, but it looks like it's breaking down already. As usual, if you have any stocks that you want me to look at, right, just drop them in the chat so that I can take a look. Because my scope, my vision for stocks right now is limited to my my screener settings, my filters. So if you have any other stocks that I seem to be missing, please let me know. Or if you want me to take a look at it, just drop it in the chat. I'll be happy to just analyze it real quick. So when I'm not in any place, most of the time you'll see me flicking through a few of the charts that I have open. JF Tech looks the most promising for a breakout. But then again, I want to see more volume ideally, but at the same time, like, how did it perform yesterday? Okay, just flat lines. It looks like it's gearing up for a breakout, but at the same time, there's not much upward momentum over the past few days. Okay, there was a bit of momentum, but yesterday it was quite muted. Yesterday was a red day. I'm sure this pops up on people's screener because of the split. Once the stock splits, the price gets cut in like 4 or 5. 4 in this case, it gets cut in 4 from 670 down to 170. So everyone will be curious. The only question is, will there be buyers? Will there be enough buyers to give us a quick breakout? Looks like it's consolidating very, very hard here at 172. Okay, Toyoven might continue selling off like we anticipated. CMAO has just no volume, so I'm going to ignore it for now. So TN Logistics broke its high, but let's have a look at the order flow. Yep, quite a bit of resistance as usual at 950. Usually the whole numbers have the heaviest resistance, whether it's 90 cents like 0.900 or 0.950 or 1 ringgit and 50 cents 1.50, 1.60. Those whole numbers have like extra resistance, because that's where most of the retail traders, like those who are really buying and selling casually, when they think of where to sell stocks, if they think of where to sell stocks, right, they don't like to think much, so they'll just go like they'll call their broker and ask them, put my order at 1 ringgit, or put my order at 90 cents, or put my order at 95 cents. You've never heard your uncle or auntie go like, put my order at 93.5, because they just don't want to think so much. So that's why most of the time it's basically a psychological resistance point. That's why buying breakouts at like whole numbers are really nice. Let's say the stock, let's say it rejected at 1 ringgit. It's very nice to buy a breakout at 1 ringgit because it is also breaking the whole number resistance at the same time as high of the day. So there'll be more confidence. So for JF Tech, I think a quick jolt of volume will be enough to push it up through 175. But if you watch the orders on the bottom left, you can see that it's just bouncing front and back at 172, now breaking down to 171, 171, 173, 172. This range has been ranging here non-stop. So let's continue jumping through the charts. Toyo Van not exactly dipping the way we want. So when it doesn't do what we expect, when our so-called theory or our so-called thesis does not get fulfilled, we don't play, okay? That's the rule. Stay disciplined. Only play the ones that fit the criteria perfectly. So none of these are really attractive breakouts now, just because of the previous day's resistance, right? You could argue that Supermax is showing some bullish potential because it's breaking its high of the day, but at the same time, you're gonna be challenging all of these. Everybody who bought on the way down here and who has not sold yet, they're gonna be panicking now, right? They're gonna be like, oh shit, I'm down 20 cents on Supermax. I hope it comes back up. So the moment it comes back to like wherever they bought, once it goes a bit in profit, it's gonna start selling off. So all these resistance points are right here. You can tell a lot of people, not a lot, but you can tell people were picking it up on this stretch here. And the moment it's sold off, most of the time, half of them will still be holding and so-called averaging down, right? Averaging down non-stop and waiting for the bounce. But since the bounce never came, most of them will still be holding probably around the center. Most of the people who are still holding probably bought here and here and here and here. So you can probably just estimate that they will have an average around here, right? So I won't be surprised if Sumax starts selling off soon. But then again, if there's enough buyers who wants to pick it up, then it's gonna fly. But based on probability, we know that there's a lot of sellers still holding. We don't know whether the buyers will come in, so we play off what we know. Anyways, it probably won't go far. So JF Tech managing to push slightly above, but the volume is still rather low. You can see that the volume is trending downwards. What we want to see is volume increasing, like a very obvious increase in volume. So if we don't see a very obvious increase in volume, then likelihood of us playing is quite low. So it broke 175 already, but no entries because, I mean, you could see that the volume was decreasing, right? In this one single candle, volume broke 175. I mean, the price broke 175, volume broke the previous average volume, I'd say. So we were waiting for this break, 175, but didn't manage to catch it. That's fine, we just watch it on the side. See how far I can go. Ideally, it hits 185. That's the ideal take profit for us if we were to enter the trade right there. Big resistance at 180. Say, like I mentioned earlier, most of the whole numbers, the flat clean numbers, 1.800, they usually have a bigger chunk of resistance than what you are used to seeing. So most likely it can, I think based on this price action, most likely it can break through 180, no problem at all. All we need to see is 179. If it breaks, I mean, if it grows up to like 500 lots, most likely 180 will be easy. There we go. So this would have been a really nice trade to take. 180, some selling coming in. Looks like a bait. Those who bought in at 180 just got baited hard. So yeah, slightly choppy, but the price action played out almost exactly how we expected it to play. Then you might be thinking, oh, how did you know that was going to happen? I don't know that. I didn't know that that was going to happen. I just know that most of the time when a stock breaks a resistance like this, I know what what it could look like, what the price action could look like, right? How it could potentially behave. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And that's how you formulate your trading strategy. You find something that tends to repeat, you formulate a strategy around it. Then the next part is to look for what is the win rate, right? If you were to repeat this 1,000 times, what is the percentage? How many times will you win? Then you formulate your strategy around it. So 179 building a good support. I'll be surprised if 180 does not break right now. If it fails to break 180, then if I'm in the trade, if it fails to break 180, I will most likely start reducing my position at 179. Probably start selling off at 179 just to lock in some gains. So I will be watching right now very closely to 180. There we go. Let's see if 180 can break. 180 is broken really easily. And then I'll be releasing my shares on the way up, probably into 183 and then 184. You could see 185 had resistance again. So that is how I would trade this. So Toyo Van still struggling. Everything else as well struggling. So there we go. Supermax started to break down. Kind of where we expected it to break. So yeah, most likely I would have sold half of my position here, since you can see it's struggling to break through 180, right? It tried, it failed, tried, it failed, it tried, it failed 4 times already. 4 times it hit 180 and it did not manage to break through. And if you are a long time watcher of this channel, or rather if you are new to this channel, most of the things that I say are just based on how I would trade it. It might not be the best, it might not be extremely correct, but it is the most consistent way to make consistent profit in the long term, right? So what I said, I would have sold half at 179. Now you can see it broke up to 185, but maybe like 50% of the time it's gonna break down when it fails to break a resistance level so many times. Most of the time it's gonna break down. So one thing you should take note is, well, if you are interested in trading, if you're trying to trade as well, when you formulate an understanding on a stock, or you formulate a theory or a strategy, always keep in mind that there's no such thing as 100% win rate. As long as your win rate is above 50%, you should be doing fine. Toyo Van breaking down. Let's keep an eye on it now. Ideally, break down all the way below 345. That's the first level I want to see it break down to. I don't want to see like choppy action like this. I want to see huge red candles. Similar to this, I want to see huge red candles pushing down through 345. Seems like not much sellers, not much volume, so set another alert in case it breaks down more. So JF Tech managing to break through all the way 184, 185 maybe. So this would have been a really nice trade to pick up. Unfortunately, I think I was talking too much when this happened, and I had a reason to not buy in. Since this wasn't really a perfect play, but it's definitely a decent attempt. So it hit a high of 186. This is where I would start to unload even more of my position, 185. Most likely unload all of it already at 185. And if it pushes up, continue all the way up, that's fine. Big stock, not big move from this stock. Not bad, getting some good volume in the morning. Quite a nice break early this morning. Break of 965. Pushed up all the way to 101. Retracing now, maybe we can catch another continuation later. What's the stock? Harbor. Let's have a look. Harbor. What was the reason for what? For JF Tech? The reason for this? I guess if you want to find a reason for it, right? If you want to put a reason for why it breaks out, well, first of all, usually if it breaks out because people are buying it, right? There's no reason for people to buy. There's no need for a reason for people to buy it, right? Oh, why didn't I go in? Honestly, the first reason I didn't go in is because the support was a bit thin for me. Second, I was talking a lot. I was focusing on explaining that I wanted to see increasing volume into the breakout, but you can see the volume down here. The volume all came in on the first line right here. And also, it's not an ideal breakout setup. If you have been watching my videos, if you've been watching my past streams, you should know what a nice breakout would look like, right? What a nice breakout setup would look like. This has the second, third, and fourth part of the breakout. It's just missing the first move, right? This is literally missing just the first leg. Everything else is there. So that was probably the two main reasons that I didn't want to go in. One is because it doesn't fit the breakout perfectly. Second is because the support volume was slightly underwhelming. And the third is because I was talking. I didn't have my finger on the buy button. And if you saw earlier how fast it broke through 950 into how fast it broke through 175 into 176, yeah, even if I hit my order on time, there was no chance that I caught this move. But the idea was there. We were anticipating. Well, I was anticipating a break of 175 up to 185. Seems like it's giving us more than we expected. It's punching up through 190 already. So really, really solid move. Oops. Oh, one reason if you want a reason for why it's breaking out, I also mentioned it earlier where when the stock gets cheaper, right? For example, if you've been eyeing Supermax, but then you keep telling yourself, this is too expensive for my size, right? I only have 20,000, I only have 10,000, I only have 5,000, but Supermax used to be 20 ringgit, so I can't even buy 100 lots, I can't even buy one lot, right? Then suddenly, one day the stock split from 20 ringgit down to 5 ringgit, you'll be like, oh shit, I can play Supermax now. Same logic for this. It just split. The price just split. It was about $7 yesterday. And today they did a 1 to 3 split. So 1 to 4 split, sorry. So most of the investors who were looking at JF Tech, now they are a lot more willing to buy. So they basically unlock like the whole group of people who only buy like 1 to 3 ringgit stocks. Suddenly JF Tech is within their range, and there's a lot more people who are willing to buy. So I'm not surprised that it breaks out so well. Unfortunate that we missed it, but focus on the fact that we managed to catch this before it happened, right? So in the future, we'll also be able to catch this again and again and again. So no worries that we missed one. We'll just catch the next one. Toyovan not dipping the way we want. So just ignore it. K-Power suddenly so heavy volume. Following SCIB. Again, this is similar to the breakout this is similar to what I explained on Supermax earlier, where even though it looks like it's breaking day high with some good momentum, there's just a lot of resistance on the way up. So the margin for gains is quite low. Any chance for breakout on some item? Let me have a look. So this, again, similar to what I just explained, right? K-Power, Supermax, Samaiden. It could break out. I'm not saying it can't. So remember, when I explain these things, take it with a grain of salt and take it with the perspective that I'm playing the probabilities rather than trying to be correct. Okay, I don't care if I'm correct or not. Okay, I'm not trying to be 100% correct. I'm not trying to be Mr. Glassball looking into the future. Based on probability and based on price, right? Based on support and resistance, it could break its day high. So Samaiden looks like this now, right? It looks like it's gearing up for a breakout. But one reason I'm not comfortable, I'm not confident in playing this, is because of this right here. So much resistance. So since it just came out of a sell-off, right? It could recover, but the recovery will never be as clean as something like this. So you could try to play these kinds of recovery breakouts, but I myself personally have not been trying these kind of plays, mainly because I know that even if it breaks the high of the day, right, the chance of it hitting a resistance here is very high. So you can draw out some pivots. So right here, it could hit a resistance. Even if it doesn't, it could hit a resistance right here. I mean, it's still a lot of room to grow, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of resistance on the way up from those who bought off the sell yesterday. So usually, I prefer to buy stocks that are not like right next to a big red day or big sell-off. Same logic applies to K-Power, right? Yesterday, not too bad, but it was still quite heavy on the sell side. Supermax as well. How I explained earlier, how most likely will hit the resistance really soon, just because there's a lot of selling that happened yesterday. Those people who bought anticipating a recovery yesterday, you can expect 1/3 to half of them was still holding. So I prefer to pick up stocks that don't have very clear resistance on the day prior. I mean, you could argue that JF Tech had a sell-off yesterday as well. You could argue that this is JF Tech yesterday, very heavy on the sell as well. But on the flip side, the stock is super cheap now. So there might be sellers, but at the same time, there's a potential for a lot more new buyers who initially could not buy 7 ringgit stocks, but now since the stock is like 1 ringgit, 2 ringgit, they are going to be flooding into this stock. Hopefully that makes sense. So you could try to play it, right? It still has the same logics. There will be people who are still watching this for break of day high, but there'll be people who are, there'll be less people because if you look at the close history of the price, a lot of people will see this and there's a lot of people will be like me that see this and they'll be discouraged to enter. So you will have half of the usual buying power. So even if you want to play this, probably cut the reward by half, right? Take the profits faster. And it could still be a viable strategy for sure. Yes, so K-Power is banging around this range right here. Between about 290 to 265. So maybe in the next few days, we could either see a break upwards and a continuation of his huge run, right? Maybe you can continue, but this might be the end. If it breaks down below 265 or 260, let's give it some space. If it breaks below 260, we can sort of have a good confirmation that the stock will have a chance to break down already. So far, no trades yet. JF Tech was the best looking one so far. Harbor is breaking down, so most likely not gonna attempt on it. So could we see another burst? Maybe this could form. Right? Maybe we can see it start to consolidate around 190, 188. And the break is 194. So 194 is not an ideal breakout spot. If you want to know why, I suggest you play back this stream. Look for the time when I was explaining about resistance at whole numbers, like 195. So breaking 194, we'll have to fight 195 again. So it's not perfect, but still playable. Again, whatever I say, right, just take it with a grain of salt and do your own due diligence. Make sure you understand why you yourself are buying into the stock, okay? I'll explain why I buy in, but that shouldn't skew your bias too much. So TN Logistics looks like it's just gonna slowly grind upwards. No significant momentum for us to play off. Those of you who are watching today, I appreciate that you woke up this early and gave me your morning, gave me your 9 to 10 a.m. to share how I trade. If you could help me tap the like button below, I would really appreciate it. Then it will help me reach a wider audience. Help those people who are lost and don't know that we exist here as a community. So, and one more thing, if you haven't already seen on my Discord or my Instagram, I'll be hosting a webinar. I'll be hosting a live webinar this Friday, 9 p.m. If you are not part of this, if you're not part of the Discord, make sure you join the free Discord. First link in the description. It should be on the announcements page. There should be a link there for you to go to the webinar that I scheduled, and you can set a reminder. But if you're in the Discord already, I'll most likely shoot out a message on Friday just to remind everyone that I'm going to have a quick webinar to address a lot of questions that I get a lot on Instagram or on Discord, just from friends, Mainly, a lot of them have a lot of doubts in trading, right? Especially in our culture where we are we are brought up to find a stable job and whatnot. So they have a lot of doubts on their ability to sort of juggle both sides, their full-time job and their trading, and also have doubts whether they can actually do well in trading. So I'm going to address whether trading is for you and basically touch on hot topics, and you can also spam your Q&A there. So make sure you don't miss this out. 9 p.m. this Friday, 9 p.m. Okay, let's get back to the charts. JF Tech is breaking down a bit more than I like, honestly. But if it can form a nice consolidation, right? If it can hold half of its gains, so half of its gains is basically here. If it can hold 185, if it can flatline here, then we have a good chance that it can continue later on. Obviously, criteria is on the breakout, we want to see increasing volume, right? Increasing volume into the breakout, and obviously the first criteria is obviously a very nice breakout setup. We want to see this exact shape build, and that would be our bread and butter breakouts. As for the rest of the stocks, I don't think there'll be any plays on these. Obviously, again, for Toyoven, I explained earlier that I'm anticipating a breakdown, right? I want to see it break down through 345 with huge red candles similar to this, right? Huge red candles like this. 345 breakdown, probably all the way down to 335, or even better, if you can break to about 310, 3 ringgit ish, then this is where I would anticipate a dip buy. Only if it looks like this, okay? I'm not gonna buy if it looks like this. A bit green, red, green, red, green, red. This kind of weakness is not something, there's no momentum here. This is just pure weakness. I want to buy momentum, okay? K-Power doesn't look like there's anything going on that I could play today. Supermax as well. No volume. No direction. Samiden probably, maybe, looks like it could build up to a breakout of 183 with the first resistance being 185. Let's have a look at the orders. Let's see if 185 is heavier. There we go, 185 with 1.5 million ringgit. So as we expected, this logic applies to every single stock lah. Even just today, I've shown you enough examples where all the whole numbers have a significantly more resistance. So would I play this? Probably not. Could it work? There is a decent chance that it could work. The setup looks pretty nice. It looks really, really nice actually for a breakout setup. But again, my doubts are the resistance at 185 and the lack of buyers due to this close selling that just happened. So I'll definitely watch Samiden. Whether I'll play it or not, I guess you'll have to be in a Discord to find out whether I end up buying into it or not. And JF Tech will probably be my number one pick. But then again, this line scares me. This 2 ringgit line will most likely see a huge amount of resistance. So you saw 180 on some other 185 has 1.4 million, but wait till you see the resistance at 2 ringgit. Wait till you see the resistance at really whole numbers. So 185, 190, 180, those are like slightly larger, but when it hits those really whole numbers like 1 ringgit, 2 ringgit, right? Those have crazy amount of orders most of the time. So I won't be surprised if let's have a look at JF Tech. JF Tech. So I won't be surprised if 2 ringgit has like 2-3 million ringgit of. I won't be surprised if JF Tech has 2-3 million ringgit of resistance at 2 ringgit. So that will obviously affect how much we can make lah. If we buy into 194 for a breakout, and if we're gonna have struggles at 2 ringgit, then our max gain will probably be like 5 to 6 cents only. That's just not ideal, honestly. So on second thought, now that we look for further reasons on why not to enter the trade, maybe even if I try it, I'll probably enter smaller size, or either smaller size, or I will take profit quicker. Because you got to think of the risk, the probability and the risk. Right? You shouldn't think of I can gain this much. Okay, this is the suicide mindset. Okay, this mindset killed me like in last September and October. So I had this mindset where I was looking like, okay, breakouts work a lot. I can make 6 cents. How much do I want to make? I want to make 6,000. I want to make 3,000. So I'm gonna buy in at 500 lots. Oh, that will kill you. That sort of mindset will kill you. So right now, I try to share how I think in these streams. We started off looking for the pattern. So we drew the pattern. We know what we're expecting. Then we move on to what is the risk, right? The risk is that there is a huge resistance at 2 ringgit. And there's probably going to be extra resistance at 195. So two blockers. But on the flip side, there is, we can see a lot of volume compared to previous days due to the stock dropping in price. So you can weigh it out either side. Okay. That's a good question. Say you're looking to enter at the breakout and the resistance at 185 for some item, right? So right here, I faced this many times. Many times. Okay, where do you buy, right? There's 3 options. You either buy at the break of the high of the day, you either buy at the break of the resistance, or you either buy when the candle closes above the resistance, right? Some people, they wait for a candle to close above the resistance before, and they take that as a confirmation. Based on my experience, this is specifically for the Bursa market, okay? This does not apply to Forex or US market. This is only for Bursa market. I always buy at the break of day high. That is just how I have noticed that if the stock is going to break out, right, it's going to break out anyways. I haven't really seen many stocks get rejected by 185 because those who... Okay, let me try to explain. If the stock can break 183, right, that means there's enough buyers already. Sorry, let me think about it. There is a logic to it. Okay, so if you see a resistance at 185, most of the people who are trying to buy the breakout like us right now, we are contemplating, should I buy 183 or should I buy 185, right? Most of the time, when we see 181, when price comes up to 183, we can already see the resistance at 185. So those people who are not going to buy in, right, because of 185, they are not going to buy in at 185. So those who are not going to buy in at 183, most likely will not buy in at 185 as well. Or they'll either buy in at 185 later on, right? The fact that there is enough people to push the price through 183, 184, even though they can see the huge resistance at 185, is sort of a indirect indicator that there is enough buyers. And the fact that it can break through 183, even though there's a resistance at 185, once it touches 185, the people who are planning to buy a resistance will continue buying through here most of the time. So instead of our usual confirmation, I hope this is not too confusing. Okay, our usual confirmation is if we see enough buyers breaking the high of the day, we know that that is our confirmation for enough momentum to push the stock up. Right here, the buyers are split in two. The buyers are split into buying high of day and buying into resistance. If we have enough buyers to break through this 183 to 184 level, then it's sort of an indirect indicator that these people right here, they are not scared of the 185 resistance. That's sort of my logic for buying into the high of day. And at the same time, if you buy into resistance, right, it doesn't really fit my strategy. I don't have enough statistics to say if I buy into resistance, especially for these kind of setups, right? I've met it quite a few times, but I've tried to like buy into the resistance. I've tried to buy into day high, and I found that the risk to reward ratio is still more worth it to buy into the high of the day. Hopefully that makes sense. Just let me know if it's confusing, and then I'll try to clarify. Seems like JF Tech is not even gonna get a chance to break through to 2 ringgit because this is the limit up already. Yeah, look, JF Tech can't even go above 196. So what everything we just said just now was all for nothing. Cool. So long story short, for me, right, I usually enter at the high of the day consistently because that is what my strategy says. I don't have enough statistics to tell you which is better because I haven't tested 100. Let's say I've tested this setup. I've tested this setup maybe 200 times already, so I can tell you how I can expect it to move. But I haven't tested this setup. Okay. This setup I've tested multiple times. But when you include this, which is another field or another variable, I don't have statistics for this. Whether buying at day high or whether buying at resistance is better. And in terms of this, buying a breakout at resistance, this is another type of setup that I don't have stats for. So you can see how versatile, how versatile your statistics can be, because it's such a almost identical setups, but the fact that you add one variable to the setup will completely change your statistics. So as approaching 10 a.m. Obviously, I'm not gonna buy this now, lah, right? Because I can only make like what, 2 cents. So I guess the next play is, okay, let's wait for a dip. Okay, let's see if JF Tech can dip extremely hard. So we just set an alert, let the alert do the work for us, especially when we have to start working now, right? Usually 9 a.m., usually 10 a.m. is when you have to stop slacking already. Set your alerts, use the alert function. Make sure you utilize all the functions that you can, all the tools you can utilize. K-Power probably won't bother. Supermax probably won't bother. Some Iden, I'll probably look at it. Toyo Van, waiting for dip. JF Tech, there's no more upside, so the only place we can get is downside. Have a quick sweep through all of the stocks here. Looks like all of the tech stocks are running this morning, so maybe that is another reason. All the tech stocks pushing up. Dufu, probably Great Tech as well. Yep, all of them moving. Okay, right before I end the stream, I want to play my disclaimer one last time because I sort of touched a lot about buying, entering a stock today. So you have to ensure that you know your strategy, okay? Don't just buy just because I say it's a good buy. Don't just buy because I have been doing it, because there's a lot more to trading than just buying, right? So let's say you are like, oh yeah, he said buy here. Then when are you gonna sell, right? But what if the stock fails? What are you gonna do? You're gonna hold it forever? So make sure you know the risk before you enter the trade. And whatever I said earlier are not buy calls, okay? Whatever I said earlier is my opinion based on my strategy. I have my strategy and I know where to exit when the stock fails. I know where to take profit when the stock is going my way. So if you don't have the full strategy, right, I highly do not suggest that you take these kind of trades. Check out my video first if you want to learn the basics of the breakout. And if you want to continue learning how I buy and how I sell, I have a lot of live streams already. At this point, I have like 20, 30 live streams that you can go back and play. Look for those that I made money, and most of them would probably be breakouts or dips, and you can replay those and learn it yourself. So all of this most likely won't touch. I don't like to play tech stocks because it's way too thin for me. Orders are way too thin. So probably today I'll probably step off the pedal for the stock market. Looks like volume's a bit soft. None of the stocks I was looking at had much going for them. So I'm fine with not trading today. Okay. So thanks again for everybody who tuned in today. And I'm really happy to see some interaction in the chat. More interaction, the better, so that we can all learn together. More questions can come out. And sometimes your questions might seem straightforward to you, but to others, they might not think about that. They might not have thought about it. So sharing your questions in the chat is very, very helpful for everybody. Tiong Nam, so Tien Logis, I saw it earlier this morning, but yeah, I don't like these kind of choppy moves, right? And then if you look at the history of this stock, right, like the breakouts are so bad, it's so choppy. There's no this is just slow grinding lah. I'm not a fan of this kind of stocks. The moment I see a lot of red green on the way up, I usually just ignore it. But then again, I say usually, okay, it doesn't mean I won't play it. But in this setup right here, most of the time I won't play it. If it builds up to a nice setup, then I might play it, but most likely I won't. If you want to play it, then you can try it out, and then just make sure, as long as you log the trade down, right? Make sure you know why you entered and why it worked or why it failed. Then that's fine. You don't have to follow if I go in or not. But that's my reasoning is just because I don't like how it looks. It's as basic as that. That's my mindset. If if the stock doesn't look good, then I usually don't enter. One last look at this stock. AGB. Yeah, nope. Okay. Thanks for watching. As usual, I'll stream 9 to 10 a.m. every single day. Make sure you're part of the Discord. Join the community so that we can all communicate with each other. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.